Hi, this is Dan and Lexi from Dan Schultz Outdoors, reminding you to keep the adventures alive.
Hey y'all, I'm Johnny.
And I'm Colleen. And we're the Keel Quest. And we want you to keep the adventures alive. Cheers.
Hey, this is Darren from Ride Paddle Repeat, encouraging you to keep the adventures alive.
This is David from Beachley Ironworks saying keep the adventures alive.
Hey, Kevin with an A here. Keep the adventure alive.
Hi, I'm Dan Mayotte. Keep the adventures alive.
Hi, I'm Kevin Collin, the Happy Camper. Remember, keep the adventures alive. Awesome!
Woo, buddy! Shug here! Keep the adventures alive. I am.
Ethan here, the Avid Outdoorsy Guy, reminding you to keep the adventures alive.
We're John and Aaron.
Keep the adventures alive.
Hey everyone, it's Kylan from Lure of the North, and I encourage you to keep the adventures alive.
This is Sky North telling you, keep the adventures alive. And now on with the show.
Well, hello and happy Tuesday evening, everybody. This is Dennis, also known as Canoe Hound, and you're welcome to another episode of Canoe Hound's Outdoor Adventure Show, a show that's going to bring you a lot closer to the great outdoors. Hope everybody's had a great week. You know what? There's been a lot going on of late, especially with the things opening up now. A lot of people are getting out there for their first adventures of the season there, otherwise known as spring ice out trips. And it's good to hear that people are out there and hopefully trying to stay safe while they're out there on the water. You know what? If this is your first time tuning into the show, you know what? Thank you very much for tuning in. We are live here every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, at least until the end of May here when we pack it up for the summer and Canoe Hound gets to go out and play himself a little bit. So yeah, we only got a couple more weeks to till the end of the season. So make sure you stick around for some of them shows. Just like to acknowledge and do a little shout out to my channel supporters, if I may. First, we have our good friends over at Algonquin Outfitters, outdoor adventure equipment and rentals at 4 key locations in and around Algonquin Park. Kid Products, makers of the Kid Twig Stove and Reflector Oven, proudly made right here in Ontario, believe it or not. Hunter and Harris Paddles, high-end, hand quality, handcrafted canoe paddles. Once again, made right here in Ontario by the craftsman Milan. Yes. And also Nova Craft Canoes, paddling the True North since 1970. And new on board as of last week there, we have OTG meals, fresh freeze-dried meals and snacks for people on the go. If you haven't tried an OTG meal, make sure you check them out. All the links to all our supporters can be found in the description below. I always say, you know what, support them because they support us and they keep us moving out there with our adventures. So yes, please do that. You know what? If you missed last week's show with Kevin Ride and Michaela Ferguson, and we were supposed to have OTG meals on, we actually discussed, backcountry meals, dehydrating, some freeze dry stuff, and we got all kinds of great tips from both Michaela and Kevin. And you know what? If you're preparing yourself for your summer adventures and your fall adventures, maybe you're thinking way ahead, you know what? And you're planning on dehydrating your own food. You know what? Give that episode a view. You know what? Just go back into our past seasons playlist, and you'll be glad you did, because you're going to learn a lot about preparing various types of food. Like, did you know you could dehydrate fish? And did you know that you can dehydrate certain dairy products as well? You know what? There's all kinds of great tips on there that Kevin shared with us from his book, Backcountry Eats. So by all means, check it out. You'll be really, really glad that you did. Let's see. If I sound a little bit hoarse to you tonight, it's because I am a little bit of a cold going on here. And you know what? It's probably because over the last week, it's been a rather busy time for Canoe Hound Adventures. This past weekend, I was a guest of Kid Products at the Toronto Outdoor Adventure Show. I did my first ever live in front of a studio audience, or not studio audience, but in front of an audience edition of this show, where I interviewed two Canadian paddling icons, being Kevin Callan and Hap Wilson. What a great time, you know, what a great honor to have these two icons in the Canadian paddling community up on stage with me, answering a few questions. And, you know, maybe a short amount of time that we had to do it, but we actually did, you know, get a lot of information out there. And if you happen to miss it, don't worry. I actually recorded it, and I will be posting it here hopefully by the end of the week. Maybe we'll get that out by Friday, so that you can check out the actual interview, and I'll probably include some tidbits in there of the Toronto Outdoor Adventure Show, because it was great, man. I got to meet all kinds of other YouTubers. Alexis Outdoors was there. The Freak of Nature, Tunis and Brittany was there. Brandon, Karina's boyfriend there, or significant other, was also there from the channel Timbermates. Tents and Timbers was there. Ontario Backcountry, Ontario Camping Couple. There we go. We got that one there. We had Camping with the Coles. There were just so many people there. And of course, you know what? So many of my viewers. I finally got to meet so many of you at the show. It was really, really cool to put a face to the names that I see in the chat over there all the time. So to all of you that actually took the time, came over, said hi, you know, hopefully grabbed a couple stickers off me and stuff like that, thanks very much. It really means a lot to meet you and to be able to have a little conversation with you. And you know, we are just real people, and it's great to share a common interest and something that we could share together. So that's awesome that you all stopped by. Let's see here. Just want to say really quick thanks to my channel members for all your support. You all know who you are. And if you want to know who my channel members are, just look in the chat there. You'll see beside names, you'll see a little icon of like a sunrise in different colors with a little canoe on there. Those are my channel members. Very important people to me. Thank you very much for all the support that you throw the channel. It really does mean a lot. And before we get on to tonight's topic or guests, we have like 3 guests in the basement right now that I can see. We're planning for 4, but one might be a little bit late if he can make it at all. So that's all cool. But if you have any questions tonight for myself or my guests, please use that chat over there. Put the word question in front of your question, and I will do my darndest to mark it and try and get it up here on screen so that, you know, we can get your questions answered as well. That's what makes this show tick, right? So yeah, let's take that on. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into tonight's topic, because this is a video series that I've been following. It's wrapped up now on YouTube. I think it was like 8 or 10 episodes, and you know what? It was a really amazing journey. We have 4 fellas, well, 3 so far, who embarked on a 30-day, 620-kilometer journey through the expansive wilderness of Côte-Nord, Quebec. The route is designed to traverse the headwaters of the Romaine River, a river seeing significant change as part of the Quebec Major Energy Project Plan, NORD. Let's see here. Followed by a descent of the little-known Agonish River. We heard a lot about the Agonish River in this series. The goal of the route is to gain firsthand perspective of the land, wild rivers, as we paddle and portage our way across Labrador, Quebec Plateau to the Gulf of St. Lawrence. You all know who they are, the Northern Scavengers. We have Alex Traynor, we have Noah Booth, and number 3, we have Matt Balcombe. How you doing, guys?
Great.
Good. How you doing?
Great.
Good. Don't speak all at once, right? No. And we're missing Eric tonight.
For now, yeah. I think he's going to try to make it at some point, but we'll see what time he gets in here.
Awesome. Well, you know what? If he does make it, we'll obviously just get him popped right up here on screen. So, you know what? Let's get right into it, man. You guys certainly did undertake one heck of a journey. Something that would be a bucket list for many a canoeist. To travel 620 kilometers in 30 days through what you guys went through. I stand up and applaud you guys. You guys did freaking awesome on this thing. I'm surprised you're still walking. Start with Alex and Noah. Like, where do you guys think of these trips? Where do you pick up these ideas for these trips?
I would say I definitely enjoy just looking at maps. Usually I start big and look at an area that interests me, and then I start zoning in on specific routes and rivers, and then it's more so just start high level and work your way into a specific location you want to travel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, but did this particular route, did you hear anything of it before, or you just like pick a spot and start going?
So we've heard lots about Côte-Nord and all the rivers that pour off into the St. Lawrence. There's a lot of well-known ones like the Romaine, the Moisey, and the Agoniche was one of them that looked intriguing. And it was pretty much just that simple.
Yeah. So now you guys, along with Matt and Eric, Alex and Eric had to meet you halfway through because of, I guess, logistics and work and stuff like that. Was that the whole deal there, Alex?
Yeah, I had just started a new job at the time, and so getting a full month off to be able to do the whole full thing wasn't going to be possible. So luckily we were able to figure out a way that it could potentially work, but it did add like a lot of logistics to the trip. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I was asking Matt in the green room, like, how do you pull off as a working guy, both Noah and Matt, like, how do you pull off a full month of time off work? Like, how you must have the most understanding boss in the world to say, yeah, man, yeah, go ahead, go play for a month. I hope you make it back alive.
That's definitely part of it, having an understanding boss.
Yeah. That's cool. Or enough vacation time that you could actually take it all at one time, right?
Yeah, like a combination, I think, of vacation time, a little bit of unpaid time, banked overtime, just sort of all those things come together to be able to swing 4 weeks off.
That's crazy. So Matt, I believe I've seen in one of your videos, Noah asked you to put it in perspective what your longest canoe trip to date was, and you're like 4 or 5 days or something like that, right?
Yeah, 4 days.
How much of a switch was it to go and put in a 30-day trip to this magnitude?
Oh, it was huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really I really didn't know what I was getting into at the start of it, having never gone that long before, but it was definitely an interesting experience and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, was there any point where you ever said, like, what the hell am I doing here? Noah, what'd you get me into?
No, not quite like that. There was just definitely like uncertainty at times about, how to handle it. But I think I knew I knew that I had made the decision to go, and it wasn't like anybody was forcing me. It was like a voluntary thing to go do it. So I tried to not have those types of thoughts, because it is a vacation at the end of the day.
Yeah. Vacation. That's what that's a workation is what that is, right?
Yeah.
What about whitewater experience? Did you have a lot of experience with whitewater previously?
Not a ton. Like, I've been doing whitewater basically since I started paddling with Noah 2 or 3 years ago. We started, but we've done a lot since then. The whitewater season in Nova Scotia is pretty short, basically last week of March, month of April, a little bit of May if you're lucky. So we've gotten out a lot over the past couple of years and kind of worked my way up.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys have a lot of whitewater opportunity around Nova Scotia where you are? Noah?
Yeah, we have tons.
Really?
It's a lot different here growing up in Ontario. So in Nova Scotia, we don't have much of the headwaters. So our rivers are very tiny and technical and shallow. So that's what Matt was saying. There's a flush of water in the spring where you could run these rivers, but in a week's time, they'll all be bony. Compared to Alex's experience in Ontario, mine as well, growing up, going to the Madawaska, just big water and big waves. It's something totally different than Nova Scotia.
Right. Alex, you've taken training at Madawaska?
On the Madawaska, but at the Paddler Co-op is where I've done some courses before. And Palmer Fest is a big event that they run every spring. It's an awesome time. I think there are actually still some spots available this spring for those of you who are looking for something to do on the May 2-4 weekend. But it's just like live music at night. Go learn how to paddle whitewater in the morning, in the afternoon, and lunch in between. And just it's an awesome environment to learn. And I found that was a great way to kind of get into it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's all I got to do. I got to get out there and I gotta sharpen my skills or hone my skills in whitewater, because every time I seem to hit the splashy water, I end up in the water, and that's not fun. Well, it is fun, but it's not fun, right? That's cool. So, Alex, with this trip being 30 days for Matt and Noah, and you and Eric, joining in halfway through. Were you kind of wishing? Well, obviously you must have been wishing that you could have partaken in the first half of that trip too, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously wish we could spend as much time out there as possible. So, not as exciting when you have to cut the trip in half, but we definitely, I think, got there for the right point of the trip, and definitely got to see some of the most exciting stuff along the way. And so, we made the best of our time there, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Now you guys weren't even sure that you'd be able to like 100% hook up where you did, like where you got flown into, right? To meet up with Noah and Matt. So was that particular beach the exact spot where you guys were supposed to meet?
No, not the exact beach, but that lake was the right spot that we were supposed to meet at. But we had fully prepared ourselves to be self-sufficient, both boats, just in the odd chance that we didn't meet up and somehow had to change plans on the fly. Like, for example, if we had bad weather for a few days when we were supposed to be flying out, every day counts on a trip like this. And Noah and Matt may have had to continue on downriver. Would we have been able to find another lake that we could have gotten dropped off at along the way? That might have been a possibility. Or do we need to do a completely separate trip and be behind them, or what's going to happen? Like that was all we had just planned to be fully self-sufficient just in case.
Right. Was there communication before? Well, go ahead, Noah.
Well, I have a funny story to add to that about the communication. I don't think we've told anyone this story in any of these. I don't think we've told anyone the story yet. So Matt and I were obviously communicating with Alex and Eric beforehand about what day we'd be meeting. And for some reason, Matt and I both thought that the boys would be arriving on day 16. So we busted our ass to get to this lake for day 16. We got there day 15. We were high-fiving each other, thinking we got there on time. And then we text Alex that we've made it to the lake. And he was a little confused because he was still in Toronto. So we messed it up. And Alex and Eric were arriving on day 17. And we thought they were arriving on day 16. So with all the communication that went on, we somehow mixed up the days.
No kidding. So, but you guys earned yourselves another good layover day with all that you went through, right?
Yeah, we got to read our books, relax, eat chocolate. It was all right.
Yeah, I wasn't complaining.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go back to day 1, 2, 3 of the trip. Noah and Matt, you guys got yourselves to the very first lake, and you're all awestruck at the beauty of the lake that you're looking across. And then when did the when did the reality set in of the ruggedness of what you guys were about to undertake? Because I know you guys had a mishap, day 3-ish type of thing, where you almost a trip-ending fiasco.
I want to take that now. Yeah,
Pardon?
sure. Yeah, I think that was like day 5, maybe. I'd say like it sunk in fairly quickly. Like setting up camp, that it was a bit of a rush to set up camp that first night. I don't think we got on the water till maybe 6 o'clock or something. And then getting up and getting ready in the morning to go, and everything's a little bit unfamiliar. You don't really know where all the gear goes yet, and just that little bit of unfamiliarity that was probably where I started feeling it.
Yeah. What about you, Noah? Where did it like start kicking in for you?
I would say the heat was the hardest part for me.
Yeah.
Yes. So I definitely don't do well in the heat. And for those first few days in the water, it was 25 to 30 degrees and no wind. And you just could not escape that. And that was one of the hardest parts for me for the first 2 weeks, was how hot it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And with the heat brings the bugs too, right? And you guys, I know, Matt, you look like a pincushion there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those things were eating you guys alive. Who was it? I think Eric. He swelled right up. His face got all puffy and everything.
Yeah, Eric did not have a good reaction when we first joined in on that trip. By the first night, he was already swollen, and the next morning, it was even bigger.
Yeah, I think we put a Benadryl in him so that he could see out of his right eye.
Good thing you guys. I seen your preparation for the whole thing there, and your first aid kit looked like something that a paramedic or an EMT would probably carry around, right? So, or an EMS service. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Good thing that you got all that stuff, right? So
My
now you guys
are a pharmacist, so we're pretty well set up for medical supplies.
Oh, well, there you go. Wow. Everybody's not that fortunate, that's for sure. So Noah and Matt, you guys, what, day 5? You said you sort of run into a little bit of an issue that could have been a trip ender. Why don't you tell everybody what that was in case they haven't seen it?
Yeah, so we were so there's a decent amount of white water in the upper section, and as we do, we before we hit white water that looks like it could be dangerous, we scout it and we assess if we can run it or not. And we were doing that all day, and we approached a set that was about 1 kilometer long, and we felt good. We saw a line, looked good, and classically we underestimated the waves once we were in the middle of it. And because it was so long, we took on some water, and then we were still committed to the set. So we took on more and more water until eventually our boat was like a bathtub.
Yeah.
And we weren't sure if we were going to make it out, because we had to make a maneuver. We had to go from river right to river left to avoid a big hole. And as we were trying to get across the river is when we were sinking. So it was one of those situations where paddle as hard as you can and have loose hips, because the boat is now, you're in a bathtub, so you're going back and forth, and it was definitely a great reminder of how quickly things can change, especially that if we had our spray skirt on, we wouldn't have had an issue at all.
Right.
So it's one of those things that it was a great lesson learned, and nothing bad happened.
What was it? Was it you just weren't prepared for it? Like you said, you had your spray skirt, but you didn't have it on. Did you do it because you didn't think it was that big, or going to be that pushy, or that wavy, or what was the deal there?
Yeah, well, it goes back to the whole thing about how important patience is out there.
Yeah,
and we could have spent the time to put on the spray skirt, but it's time and effort to do, and I think we both agreed, and I definitely thought the spray skirt wasn't going to be necessary. And I was wrong.
Yeah.
Turns out it was.
Turns out it was an important part.
Yeah. And was that when you actually cracked the hull of the boat? Is that going through there, you think?
No, that was a few days later.
That was a few days later? Okay. Yeah, I got to get caught up here on all the episodes again. I watched them all, but that was a little while ago, right? So I got to freshen my memory on this stuff. So what happened there? What you just hit a rock, bottomed out really hard, or is it because the canoe looked well worn?
It's probably like that whole day we were working our way up a creek and like dragging over beaver dams and dragging over fallen logs. It was probably just dragging a loaded boat over one of those at some point, really.
Yeah.
That's also the same boat that went on our trip in 2019 across Labrador. So it's definitely seen a lot of dragging over the years.
Was that the one that got pinned?
No, well, Matt and I actually pinned that boat in Nova Scotia that spring, but not the one that you saw.
Right. Yeah. And is that boat still kicking? Is it still usable? Or are you going to be taking that on more treks, or is it time to cash it in?
I'm taking it down some whitewater this weekend.
Oh, beauty. Yeah, they're never dead until they're dead, right?
Just like a car.
There you go. drive it till it drops, right? Drive it till it drops. That's all right. So you know what? We'll be with you in a sec here, Alex. But I wanted to talk about some of the food that you guys are eating. You guys are high energy, or as you call them, high energy, like jelly beans or whatever it was you were eating, the little sour keys and stuff like that. You had your what do you call it? Bush oats?
Bushwhacker oats.
Bushwhacker oats. I remember those things. I'll get you to tell everybody your bushwhacker oats recipe in a second. Maybe we should have had you on the show last week to talk about that, actually. And then you guys invented a nice little cocktail out there too. Who wants to talk? Who invented the cocktail?
That's all Matt.
Yes, that was
all
me.
Matt, hey, you're the mixologist?
Yeah. So that was, I think we were kind of in a celebratory mood because we had just done our first height of land crossing and our first sort of arduous portage through that bog. And we felt like celebrating and we wanted to make something fancy. So we just started brainstorming like the ingredients we had. So it ended up being, like a whiskey sour. So it was lemon lime Mio, some water, whiskey, and some gummy candies. And eventually we added the lab tea garnish to top it off.
Yeah, that there made the whole drink right there, right?
Matt, would you say that the cause for celebration was also the reason for the amount of Mio you were squirting into them?
The two are directly correlated. Yeah.
Wow. No, that's crazy. Yeah, you know what? That's definitely a drink I'll have to try sometime in the backcountry when I'm up there. Especially when that's all you got, right? Because you brought a couple little bottles of whiskey and that was about it.
Yeah,
you have to be creative.
Yeah, it was so good and so strong. I think that's the big part of it. Was how strong it was.
Yeah, a little bit of painkiller, right?
Yeah. The sourness alone, I lost all taste for 2 days after that.
Jeez. So Matt, you also during that bog portage there, you almost disappeared to the bog gods, right?
Oh yeah, that was I think that was the next one. That was our when we actually crossed into the Agraniche watershed. That was I thought I could sort of skirt the edge of this little soggy spot and just took one step too far and just went right in.
Yeah, that stuff will swallow you whole if you're not careful.
Yeah, it sure did.
Yeah,
he was almost like the dire wolves in the tar ponds.
Oh man! So no, let's give everybody your little recipe for your bushwhacker oats. First off, tell them about it and tell them why you make it the way you do.
So the bushwhacker oats has been refined over the last 10 years of a lot of different experiments, lab work, different ingredients, determining all the micronutrients needed and the perfect amount of energy to get you through the day. And the biggest thing about this is, I would say only 2 people have actually finished an entire batch of Bushwhackers oats. And that's the magic of the oats. You need to be able to finish it all because it is like it's like trying to eat a bowl of cement. So
that's exactly what it's like.
That's very accurate.
And the test is once it's mixed, you got to stick your spoon in, and it has to stick straight up like a Dairy Queen ice cream.
Oh, like the Blizzard, yeah.
Yeah, Blizzard. So what it is, it's a cup of oats, and then it's a quarter cup of powdered peanut butter, a quarter cup of protein powder, a quarter cup of walnuts, a quarter cup of cranberries, and a quarter cup of powdered greens.
Powdered greens. Wasn't there a banana in there somewhere too?
What's that?
Wasn't there a banana in there somewhere too?
No, it's not. Sometimes I had the banana, but we didn't have any dehydrated banana for this one.
And then it's funny as hell when you mix that there, it was actually bubbling.
Yes.
Yeah.
It takes a while for it to all absorb into like one mixture.
Yeah.
All the ingredients need a minute just to like make friends with the other ingredients in there because it's just a lot.
And were all of you eating this stuff on a trip?
For a bit.
Like
a few days.
Like I said, Eric and I were fully self-sufficient, so we did not eat any of the bushwhacker oats.
Okay. I did it for like 4 or 5 days, and then I think we realized I'd probably be better off just eating something I could finish.
Well, I think we patched a hole in your rain jacket with it too.
Yeah.
It's like spackle, right? Yeah.
It was actually underneath the fiberglass that we put in the bottom of the canoe. It was like the surface prep was bushwhackers oats.
Wow. That's crazy. And the reason why you do that, no, that's like you say, it's got pretty much everything you need for a good solid morning anyways, right?
Yeah, I think you could work as hard as you possibly can all day and you'll be satisfied.
Yeah. And that's a self-invention? You made that stuff up yourself?
Yeah, well, myself and I think some of the folks at NASA also tried it.
Okay. Yeah. Wouldn't that weigh down the space shuttle?
Yeah.
That would cost a fortune to launch into space. It's too heavy.
Yeah. Wow. We got a comment here saying a 2,000 calorie bomb.
Yeah, really. There you go. Yeah. There we go. We'll even put that up on screen. Good one, Darren. Yeah, for sure. So
funny.
That brings up an important point is diet. You guys, I noticed weren't doing a whole heck of a lot of fishing or anything like that for fish to eat pretty much on this trip. Is there a reason for that? Different fishing regulations up that area? What's the deal there? Matt, no.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Sometimes it was just we were on the move, and maybe you get a fish in the middle of the day or something, and don't feel like toting around with you for the rest of the day. Right. And we knew we had enough food for supper every night, so we didn't feel like a pressure to catch fish to eat.
Right, because Noah and Alex, you guys usually you guys do a lot of fishing on your trips. Usually, you guys are hauling them in left, right, and center, right? And I kind of like seeing that. I missed it.
Yeah, honestly, the fishing wasn't that good on the Aguaniche.
No,
to be frank,
it was like hit or miss. We had a couple spots. There was one night we had a big brook trout fry with some soup, but it was kind of hit or miss. There was good spots and not so good spots.
And I think we're moving quite a bit every day. So when we say the fishing wasn't good, it's like when you get to the end of a portage, you try like 5-10 casts, and then we're moving on. We're not putting in like a ton of fishing in those areas.
Sure. Yeah.
There's a couple of holes that we had a lot of luck.
I've had them trips too, where you got so much travel to do that you just don't have time to pull out the fishing rod. Right. It was like that on my last trip, my big trip last year. We didn't have a layover day, and we didn't have a fish dinner, which killed us. We caught fish, but we just didn't catch them at the opportune time. Right. So that's yeah. Anyways, so Matt, no, so you guys, what was some of the toughest highlights of your first 14 or 15 days until you met up with Alex and Eric?
Matt, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the thing that sticks out is crossing the height of land between Atikanak Lake to get into the Romaine system, because that from the first day was the heat and the bugs going up the creek and cracking the canoe, and we actually had a tent pole break on us that night too, but I don't think there was any footage of that. So that was kind of like a morale or like a point of low morale that night. And then the next day slogging through the alders, and then the day after that portaging in to kind of complete it. That was definitely a challenge.
Yeah. How about you, Noah?
Yeah, I'd probably echo that portage was tough. And I think what made it tough was we didn't think it was going to be as tough as it was. And I think mindset going into those things is so important to how you're going to deal when you're on it.
Yeah. So that route is basically not a well-traveled route. Like there's not many people that are doing this At least not the way you guys did it, right? Because there weren't many portages that were really blazed, with the exception of like your peninsula crossing or something like that, right?
Yeah. So one of the big things is the Romaine River was a well-known and well-used whitewater river back in the day, but then in 2009, the hydro complex started to be developed, and it sort of capped off canoeists to be able to paddle this river. And because of that, a lot of these portages were overgrown and sort of disappeared over time. Mm-hmm. And on that overland crossing that Matt and I were just talking about, at the start, we did see cut marks that sort of disappeared into the burn, and we lost it. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't used enough that we could follow anything really.
Yeah, nothing as a true blaze, right? Because you come across that one, like I say, when you're doing the like saving yourself paddle time by crossing that peninsula, and it was a pretty nice looking trail.
That was great.
Yeah, but not like that going through when you're doing the height of land crossings or anything. There was nothing evident of all that.
Kind of like what Noah said, just the odd sign. I think where we camped that first night, there was like a cut stump, and there was actually like a nail sticking out of it. So it kind of seemed, maybe at one time somebody else had camped there, but everything was very overgrown. Like I wouldn't say there was any recent activity.
Yeah, no flagging tape or nothing like that to give you a little guidance.
Not at that part, no.
Not at that part, eh? Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, so that lets you know that you're really sitting in a remote area. That's for sure. Yeah. So, Alex, when you and Eric arrived, I seen that everything seemed pretty jubilant there when you were getting off the plane and stuff like that. Feelings in the air when you seen the boys on the beach?
Yeah, it was hard to put that into words. That was, not Matt and I hadn't met before. Noah and I hadn't seen each other in almost 2 years, and all the logistics that had to line up for us to meet there, having the plane just land safely and us pull up and no issues meeting up. The weather was perfect. It was just, hard to put that into words, but it was a pretty cool feeling for sure. And that was probably one of the biggest highlights of the trip, honestly.
Yeah, I'll have to say when you guys put out your teaser for it there, and you said that you showed the plane scene, and you said waiting for a special delivery, I kind of had a feeling it was going to be something like that, right? But I was waiting. That was pretty cool.
It lined up pretty perfectly because Noah and Matt hadn't talked about us at all for the first 2 weeks, and we hadn't really talked too much about it. Some people who had followed us on Instagram or something like that might have seen a post about it or something, but it wasn't really as commonly known, I guess, that we were going to be coming in. So we definitely surprised some people.
Yeah. Well, you surprised me too. I kind of had an inkling, but it's yeah. How you mentioned that, okay, so you guys were a day later than what Noah and Matt thought that you guys are going to be showing up. How the hell do you do that? That, to me, logistically, trying to plan something like that, where you're going to say, you know what, we're going to try and meet here on such and such a day. There's so many unknowns, right? That these guys could have been way behind schedule, or they could have been way ahead of schedule. Or if you had been way ahead of schedule, Noah, would you guys have maybe considered moving on, or would you stay? If you had been, say, 4 or 5 days ahead of schedule, would you consider moving on? Or
I don't think so. No, So part of the trip was to do the second half as a team. Yeah. And the only reason why we wouldn't would be if there was an issue with something outside of our control. But I think if Matt and I had 4 or 5 days, we would have explored the lake, fished, canoed. There's so many things you can do in one lake. We don't necessarily have to be moving to enjoy ourselves out there.
Yeah. Yeah, but you guys, you by the time you got there, you kind of needed the rest, right? So that's...
Our backs were mangled after some of those portages.
Yeah. Geez. So now you guys are still feeling a little rough. Yeah, Noah and Matt there, and then Alex and Eric show up, and next day you decide. Well, not decide, but you guys take off the next day. Were you having a hard time keeping up with Alex and Eric at that point, or were you guys all just good to go, man?
We were pretty dialed in.
Yeah.
Yeah, with our setup, with our like Matt was saying, we knew where everything went. You know how it is once you're in a trip, like you're so locked in.
Yeah.
It was probably harder for Alex and Eric as it was for us to start and like figure out where all your stuff goes.
Sure.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like we definitely had some catching up to do. Matt and Noah were both up crack of dawn every day. Knew where everything was going. Just had they were 17 days into their rhythm at that point, and so for us it was I guess a bit of a wake up call. We had to get moving.
Right.
We also flew into like one of the hypest parts of the river right away, and that was also a wake up call.
Yeah, because you guys first day were right on the white water, right? It's a big white water. It was how did that feel when you got on there and all of a sudden you guys are thrust right into a whitewater situation? Hardly any warm up time.
Yeah, I mean, there was quite a bit of lining in the beginning, which was, I guess, good in a way, but that also takes a little bit of warming up. So I think it was maybe a good warm up in a way, but at the same time, it was just right into hard work, I guess.
Right. Excuse me, guys. Yeah, but so now you guys, if you want to stay limber, all you got to do is like Noah's little morning workout there to get all limbered up, thrust to the sky or to the top of the trees.
Activated. You get activated.
Noah's got a sense of humor, huh? That's good stuff. And now, Alex, I've seen, obviously, you did your, what was it, the Northern Ontario trip with Eric.
Yep.
So Eric's got a lot of whitewater experience as well, right? So capable in the front.
Yeah, definitely, and he's even sterning and whatnot now, which is great to see as well. Him and I have run the Madawaska River. We did that James Bay trip together, which was quite a bit of whitewater, and we've done quite a bit. We were out paddling the Credit a few weeks ago, which was great.
Cool. And did he have much whitewater experience before you guys did that big trip as well?
I would say not a ton before our James Bay trip, but enough.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, I got the tickle going here.
No worries.
In the woods with Crafty, Mike's asking, how often did you drone to scope rapids? I think I know the answer to this.
This is one we get. This is a question that we get quite often, actually, and I would say we've never used the drone to scope rapids just because we're so limited on how many batteries we can bring on a trip like this. So that's part one, is we just are limited on battery. The second part is when you're scouting any set of rapids, even if we've had situations where we're scouting from the top of a canyon, and Noah mentioned earlier underestimating the size of rapids. Well, everything when you view it from above looks really tiny, and you're like, oh, it's a couple of swifts down there. And then all of a sudden you get in there and your boat's going up and down these massive waves in the middle, down wave trains. It's so hard to use a drone and the screen and everything. It wouldn't really make sense.
Yeah,
you kind of lose perspective of the size of things, right? You don't get that depth of field, right?
Yeah, and there's so many times too, like something will look fine from above, and then you get down level with it, and there's like a can opener rock hiding in a wave, or something you don't see until you're right up looking at it.
Right.
Yeah, and also remembering your route too. Like I can go down and walk a set of rapids and come up with a line, and then absolutely forget it instantly. Let alone looking at the screen and trying to remember that and then go run the rapids. There's just too many variables.
Yeah, like a lot of the time you don't know your line until you actually see it from downstream looking up to see the obstacles, I find at least. And then I always try and, as I'm walking back to the boat, I look downstream again and remember what it looks like looking down, because sometimes you look at it looking upstream, but then it looks totally different when you're actually coming down in the canoe. So I like to kind of be checking in back as we're walking back to the boat too, and try and remember it that way. Like see what that standing wave looks like when you're actually coming down on it.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, I wouldn't rely on a drone for that either, right? Great for shots, but not great for planning the route. That's for sure. Mr. Weltmeister's asking, why have foam taped to the handles?
Matt, you
Oh,
want to take
they float
Matt,
a
you
little
had a
better.
nice big yellow piece of foam taped to your canoe paddle.
Yeah, those aluminum paddles, they float, but they don't float very high in the water. And like in churning water, they can kind of get pulled down. And sometimes they get waterlogged too. Like the shaft will fill up with water, and then they really don't float well. So if you drop it just keeps it bobbing up a little higher, easier to see.
So just a buoyancy thing and bright yellow to see it in the water, right?
Yeah, it saved me.
You ended up sharing some with Noah later on in the trip too, didn't you?
Yeah, because I don't think he had his on when we started the trip.
Yeah.
My pool noodle saved me. Was it last spring, Noah? You rescued my paddle from the bottom of a set.
Yeah.
I ended up losing a paddle going down a set, and the guys were able to recover it for me because of that pool noodle. So.
Noah
So how long did the planning stage take for this entire trip? You guys were at this for how long?
Well, we were originally planning on doing it in 2020, and then COVID hit, and that sort of kiboshed those plans. So it was 2 years it was 2 years it was only go for about 2 years, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a lot of planning. At least you had a little more. Now, how easy was it to find the information that you needed for this? Because I know you'd mentioned off the hop of the trip there, Noah, that it's like, oh well, that wasn't on the map. The first set of rapids, So there's obviously a lot of unmarked features that you didn't know about, right?
Yeah, so we were able to find some old trip reports from a gentleman named Guy Dorr who did the trip in 1985, and then Christian Houdon and his group who did in 2009. But I don't know. This is a philosophy that I have with these trips, which is different for everyone. When I'm planning a trip, I like to know if it's possible and we're not going to get ourselves into serious crap. But in terms of the small details, I don't like over assessing a route. Part of the excitement for these trips for me is sort of coming up and having no expectations, whether it be a really cool cliff or a set of rapids. We're not going to paddle over a waterfall. You can hear it from a kilometer away. The fine details is something I like to try to avoid over researching before a trip.
Yeah, you want some element of surprise, obviously, right? It's not it's not going to Disneyland or something where you need to know everything that's going to happen or what you're going to experience. You want to have some element of surprise there for sure. Let's see here. Lost Lakes. John's got a question here. Matt, saw you were leaving Nova Scotia. Where to? Any plans of getting you into YouTube?
Yeah. So I just completed my move. I'm sitting in Moncton, New Brunswick right now. So no longer in NS, but not too far away. Sorry, Noah. Boo. And no real. I mean, I have a YouTube channel. I make the odd video just for fun, but I don't think I'm going to be diving headlong into it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, my friend. A lot of work. Yeah. So who's responsible for doing the editing on this series?
We split this one up.
Yeah.
So Noah, go ahead, Noah.
Sorry, I was going to add to that. I did the first 2 weeks, and then Alex did the second 2 weeks.
Is it not difficult to edit something that you've not seen yet, though, Alex? Oh wait, the second 2 weeks. Okay, wait. So I'm thinking the episodes: 1 episode, 2 episode, 3.
Yeah. So and yeah, we try to get our episodes done in advance so that we've got time to review them and stuff. So Noah, I had an idea, and Noah and I were communicating just in terms. The biggest thing was just the transition between episode 5 and episode 6, where Noah was ending his episode and I was taking over, and it also had to do with how we wanted to tell the story of us arriving. And right. Noah had a really unique end to the episode 5 that I think a lot of people really liked, and offered a good transition into the start of episode 6.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, when you guys arrived there to the camp, it was the next day that you guys quite literally took off, right? You enjoyed one day before you took off, or did you guys set off first day?
we gave ourselves about an hour at the beach.
Wow.
Long enough to drink that beer.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was gonna say long enough to enjoy a beer, and that was that for that. Could have brought a 6-pack for the boys, man. They just had a hard week of work to get where they got to.
Yeah.
Oh man. How long did the whiskey last for, Noah?
The entire trip.
Oh, really? Yeah.
You got to ration those out there, Dennis.
Yeah, ration? Come
on.
First day of pain, it's gone, man. First day of pain, it's gone. So let's get into the big portage. You guys basically cut a path through a freaking mountain. Couple days. Couldn't find no trail, no trailhead or portage to take.
No,
not that we could find.
Matt said you guys should have searched a little longer to see if there was something available.
I don't know. Like I flip flop on that because I feel like we probably searched for a couple hours looking for a trail, and what we did come across in that time is flagging tape, a old boot, and an old canoe, and cut marks. So we are searching as much as possible, and obviously we would have loved to have found a trail, but to our just what was in front of us was leading us to think that we were onto something because we found stuff there. And then it was like, okay, well then if this is it, then what's our best option? And then we went into kind of problem solving mode where it was what's going to be our best option to get going here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we had kind of rationalized it to ourselves that maybe, I don't know, a bunch of windfall and that was some new growth that had shot up and obscured the trail. It was all really small spruce trees at the start. So I think we had just kind of attributed it to being sort of new growth, and that's why we couldn't see a trail.
Well, you had a little uncertainty too, whether as to which side that the portage was actually supposed to be on too. Did you not? There's a little confusion there. Did you search the other side at all?
No. We realized that after Alex and Matt spent an hour or two blazing the trail, and we knew the crew in 2009 did our route, did the trail on this side, and then the 1985 group did the other side. So we rationalized if we can't find the 2009 trail, there's no way we're going to find the 1985 trail.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, it would be a little more overgrown, right? So,
and also the Agonish trappers who used this route a lot back in the day because they had to come up the Agonish to get to the trap lines. They portaged on River Right, and that was another reason why we rationalized, which was that trail we found overgrown right at the end of that portage.
So not to skip ahead too far, but at the end, you guys discovered like what, the last couple 100 meters, you actually found a blaze trail.
Yeah.
The look on Alex and Matt's face, or was it Alex and Matt?
Yeah.
Alex and Matt's face there when Eric said that, just a couple 100 meters down, or not even, is a fully blazed trail. You guys look dumbfounded.
For sure.
It was surreal just because we had been dealing with this for 2 days and still not. And at that time on the second day, there was still question about whether we were going to be spending another night on this mountain before getting out.
Wow.
Because as much as we thought if we put another full day in, there's no way we can't make it. And we're obviously trying to be optimistic and everything. But at the end of the day, we were still moving very, very slow, and the terrain was still very difficult to get across. And so just hearing those words come out of his mouth was like gibberish. It was just like, you can't be serious if there's actually and then also a slight shock, because then you're like, wait a second, could we have avoided all of this? And you're like mad almost, but then quickly put those flames out by just saying that they weren't able to find work back. Because I mean, that happens sometimes too. We've had that happen before where where you can't find a portage trail in the beginning, but by the end of it, you end up finding it. And then when you work backwards, you see where it ends up being at the start. Like it didn't really seem to be the case in this situation.
Yeah, that's happened many times. Did you when you went down there and you finally found that trail though? Did you follow back to see how far it went back, or and
lost it?
Oh yeah, just disappeared, overgrowth again, right?
It looked an old burn.
Yeah.
It ended in just a big couple acre cluster of spruce that big around.
Jeez. Well, you know what? That's a good thing to see how the land takes things over again, right? They say nature always wins. So, yeah. Excuse me. So let's go back to the start of this portage, then, where you guys are actually coming up with a plan of attack. 2 guys carrying packs, 2 guys blazing trail. Was it hard to keep up with one or the other? Anybody can answer that.
Yeah, I feel like we had the best strategy possible going for that section. We only had 2 saws, and luckily we had 2. Noah was really pushing, and we only bring 1 saw for the trip because he didn't want to carry too much. And Eric and I didn't listen to him because, well, mainly it was also to do with the fact that we wanted 2 fully self-sufficient boats. If we didn't meet up with these guys, we needed a saw to get by. So we brought an extra saw, and that ended up being a blessing in disguise because we were able to actually have 2 guys cutting the trail up ahead, and then the other 2 guys just shuttling gear to the next destination. Like the 2 guys cutting would get to a point, the other guys would start loading gear, and while they were loading gear, the guys would continue cutting, and then we just keep kind of going back and forth.
What do they call that? Leapfrogging type of thing, right?
It is. I guess it's kind of like leapfrogging.
Yeah.
It became a lifestyle.
Pardon?
It became a lifestyle.
Because you guys were in there for what, 2.5 days? Was that portage?
Yeah, we were the trail. It felt like.
Yeah. And how is that trail now? Like, is it going to be is it well enough blaze for other people to be able to find it now and make their job a lot easier?
I wouldn't recommend it.
Walk with caution.
Yeah.
So we were getting sloppy with our cutting, and we were cutting trees not fully down, but maybe 3 feet off the ground on an angle, so they became spikes.
Oh boy!
Like Indiana Jones style.
Yeah. And
it was among fallen trees, so you had to balance on fallen trees with all these Indiana Jones spikes around you, and if you slipped, there would be an instant
broken river or something, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been more focused than walking across some of those logs.
Yeah. Well, it looked like it was like a maze of toothpicks or fallen toothpicks through there. It's you got to watch all your footing. Did any injuries happening through there? Any twisted ankles or
just minor stuff, really?
Yeah.
My feet were pretty ruined by the end of it, but
my legs, my inside of my leg got pretty destroyed hopping over logs. I don't think we ended up showing that in the video series, but I had a nasty bruise on the inside of my leg, like that big.
Actually, I think you did have.
Made it.
Oh, did I show it?
I think so.
Yeah,
I recall. Or it was another trip, but yeah.
Yeah, or it was my belly button or something. Hopping over those logs was I've got smaller legs, so it's just they take a beating.
Wow. And Eric was a real pack horse there too, eh? Between Alex and Noah there, a lot of the scenes showed those 2 carrying those canoes, and you guys are just bucking those things around like they're nothing. What do they weigh? What do the equips weigh?
Fully outfitted with the additional stuff, I'd say probably about 80 pounds.
Yeah. Wow. Can't
worse
find a lighter canoe.
When the ropes get wet, that's even worse.
Yeah.
It's just with these canoes, it's peace of mind on these trips. Like it is extra weight, but we're able to do it, and it's nice knowing that obviously we've had some wrap before. They pop right back out, and we've dropped them off cliffs, sometimes purposely. and they'll always make it to the bottom.
Yeah. Now, what can you tell us about the Equif canoes? I know, like I say, you guys seem to be well, they sponsored the series, did they not, or in part sponsored the series? What you know, what is it about an Equif canoe besides that? Is it just the materials that they're made from type of deal? Yeah.
I can speak to this. So the material is T-Formex, and we've wrapped 2 canoes, 2 Skiff Canyons, and they pop back out, and they're able to keep going. It just they're battle horses. We've abused them so much, and they still float, and it's incredible to see. And we have so much trust in that material to get us through our trips. And then the specific model that we use are the Skiff Canyons, and the shape, it's rockers, so it looks like a banana.
Yeah,
and it's great for whitewater because you can pivot really easily, and it's very maneuverable around rocks and rapids. And it's also a very deep design, so you could carry a month's worth of food in there and still be able to dance down different sets and make 90-degree turns. It's having that boat on these trips was a game changer for us.
Wow. And what length are they? 16 footers?
16, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. You know, it's really nice when you could actually rely on your equipment like that. You know, that you can have that kind of confidence, and the fact that Matt was able to repair the one boat right there on the field. Tell people what you should be carrying in these circumstances when you're out there, because you had epoxy, you had fiberglass.
Yeah, it worked for us. It might not work for a more major repair, but it did work for us. So yeah, it was any kind of epoxy. The one I picked was those Gorilla Glue 2-part plunger style, just because of I felt like that was the kind that wasn't going to leak. But you could do 2-part epoxy in cans or something. Fiberglass cloth is like Canadian Tire, pretty cheap. Couple layers of that. Some sandpaper to rough up the surface, and that's pretty much all you need.
Yeah. Now, every canoe on any type of trip like that, you should actually have some sort of backup like that. That's I don't. Now I will be though. So thanks. You taught me something, right?
It would work a lot better than like duct tape or something to try and keep a leak under control.
Right. Yeah. Camper Christina wants to know when Noah's coming back to Ontario. Or moving back to Ontario.
I'm coming back for a wedding in May.
That's it.
I love Ontario, born and raised. My people are from Ontario, but Nova Scotia is my new home.
Yeah. Now, Noah and Alex, you guys have been buddies for like a long time, right? You guys kind of grew up together as best friends. Tell everybody about the relationship there.
Yeah, we've been friends since we were like 4, very very early on. Dennis, did I send you some of those photos from when we were kids?
You did. I think the last time that you were on the show, but yes, I remember.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I can pull them up or not.
There's some gems in there, but we've known each other a long time. We went to elementary school, high school together. And then obviously now all these canoe trips together. And I guess how we got into doing this was a combination of I think one of us got a GoPro and we started filming snowboarding edits and things like that. And then we started getting into canoeing and we started filming our canoe trips. And then we had all these videos and then we started sharing them. And then things have just kind of compounded from there. People started enjoying them. And then we just started challenging ourselves to make better and better videos and then also just pushing the types of trips that we do and pushing ourselves there. And we've kind of fallen in love with that.
Cool. Now, is the Northern Scavenger, is this now a 4-person party, or is Northern Scavenger still considered Noah and Alex with guest appearances by Matt and Eric and whomever else in the future?
We're a community. We're a
Okay.
community of friends and paddlers.
That's awesome.
It's Noah and I doing all the work of editing the videos, but Northern Scavenger. It's very much a community. It's we like to think it's like a state of mind, like pushing yourself and challenging yourself, whatever that looks like for you.
Right. What does Northern Scavenger mean? Is there a purpose to that name?
Great question.
Yeah, it's actually derives from Sweden, and no, there's no meaning behind it whatsoever. It was a name that was chosen back in 2015 or whatever it was when we started this, and I was trying to find a name that resembled exploring outdoors and the northern types of trips that we like to do, and I was trying to find a name that would match across all of the social platforms, and that was somewhere that I landed back in December of 2015.
That's cool. So Matt, did you hear what Alex said? He says, they're the guys that do all the work. Do you agree with that after this trip?
Oh yeah.
Alex finished by editing videos and stuff.
Yeah, right? it's definitely it's a guest appearance on my part. Those guys put in an unbelievable amount of work to put all this together. I just get to go on the trip and have fun. So
cool. You know what? I've heard many people comment on your fit into this whole trip, and how you're educated. Like you know all your stuff up there too. Like some of the stuff that you're rambling off about, like the structure and stuff like that. And I know Noah's a geologist and likes to talk about his rocks and his geology stuff. But you had a lot of interesting facts all throughout the videos as well that really had people intrigued.
Yeah. I mean, like my background was kind of different. I didn't do as much of the canoeing and backcountry stuff coming up, but I did a ton of like hunting, fishing, do like some moose guiding out west, and search and rescue, volunteering, stuff like that. So I had like a bit of a different background, but so the canoeing and whitewater aspects were more new to me, but I was just out in the outdoors in other ways.
Right. Cool. Another question here. Mr. Waltmeister is asking, best geological feature. Can we have more geology descriptions? He loves it.
Oh, thank you. There'll be many more.
So what were some of the best features that you seen on this trip, Noah, that you can share? I actually enjoy that too, because it's pretty interesting when you were talking about the potholes and stuff like that, how they're created and formed.
Oh yeah, that's great. I'm glad. It's definitely something I like. I like seeing. I like when we're paddling through to make those observations, because it is sort of cool to see how the landscapes are formed.
Right.
But the coolest thing up there, which you can see all across Canada, is marks that the glaciers have left on the landscapes.
Right.
And you can see that in the Canadian Shield in Georgian Bay area in Ontario. You're looking at a landscape and it almost looks like it's been scraped when chatter marks, and you can, when you're looking at rock, you could see these lines of cut marks in one direction, and you know that the glacier was scraping over top of it, creating these almost like skid marks. So seeing that's very cool. And then the different sort of glacial features like drumlins, eskers, cames, very cool to see that in person, which it varies across Canada. But then diving in a little deeper into like this, like not glacial related, but in terms of other sort of landforms, are those potholes that you mentioned, Dennis. And it starts off like a little groove that's in a waterway, and over time a rock or multiple rocks get in the groove, and the water turns it like a blender, and over time these turning rocks drill a hole that's deeper and deeper into the rock. And on our trip we were seeing these potholes that Matt could have actually jumped inside one and hid. It was like a perfect sewer hole, and there were rocks at the bottom too, so you knew, hey, these rocks were the ones that did all this drilling.
The culprits.
And it's philosophical, because you can look at these rocks and be like, these rocks chipped away into this other rock. So all you need really is time and persistence, and you can do pretty much anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing, that something like that can be created. I seen one of them one time up in Temagami on Lady Evelyn Lake on an island. And it was like, you got to be kidding me, man. The thing was probably 8 feet wide and about 6 feet deep. So it's pretty huge. Yeah. Almost.
Time and persistence could have been a good metaphor for our trip as well.
There you go. That's the name of the next trip, right?
Yeah.
So we'll get back to the portage here now. So you guys are doing this huge portage. You're 2.5 days in. When you're having your one little rest break, Eric comes up and says, "Yeah, we find another trail." Then, did you guys just portage down from there? You kind of skipped from there to being on the trail. Where did you catch that trail? Back where the canoes were?
We had about another 150 meters of trail cutting to do to get to where the trail disappeared into the burn, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And we weren't home free yet, that's for sure.
Yeah.
There's a clip where it starts raining on us and hailing on us, and the skies just opened up to give us one more gut punch on the way out. And you can see some clips of us sawing through very, very thick shrubs kind of from above, because Noah was standing on a log taking these videos, and it was shortly after that thick new growth that we were cutting through that we were able to find the trail and get back down to the river.
Right. Now I've had these instances where I've been on these portages that are portage from hell. Nothing like what you guys did, because I won't ever try to steal any of that credit. But what was the feeling when you come down and you heard the water roaring, you finally seen the water, and that portage was behind you? Victory dance?
Major
victory dance?
I had been down to the river once with my first load of gear, but I didn't even want to walk down to the water. There was kind of a little flat area where we could camp up top, and it looked like maybe other people had camped there before. And I dropped the stuff and turned right back around and kept going back to grab my last load of stuff, because I just I felt I had to earn it before I could go down there and actually see the waterfall. I just wanted it to be all done.
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's cool. And I was asking Matt in the green room too, like, there was no way you guys could have shot that canyon, right? And he said no. He says the end was like a death trap, pretty much, right?
I sometimes stay awake at night thinking about it, though.
Really? That bad?
I don't know. Like the bush was insane for 2 kilometers. I just don't like it. It probably would not have been the right decision, because there was so much uncertainty with going over a waterfall and getting cliffed out. But you always wondered.
Right. There's definitely sections, you can see it in the drone shots from the top of the mountain. Like, there's sections of it that are very navigable. It's just a matter of if you can get out of it before it gets
non-navigable. If you can get out, how do you get up the canyon to get out?
And we didn't know, so
yeah. No, better to be safe than sorry, as they say.
Yeah, and that terrain in general was so difficult just to walk through. You can kind of see when we're scouting where the portage might have been. It was so thick just to walk through that. So scouting was even going to be a challenge. And actually, like, many times when we were up there, we couldn't actually see the river. I was going to nickname the episode "A Mountain with No View," because we after all that hard work, you'd love to be able to just see something.
Sure.
You climb the thing, and then you get up at the top. I guess it's kind of similar to people who climb mountains and they end up having a cloudy day or something like that, or they're up in the clouds or whatever. They can't see anything. We climbed a mountain with all of our gear and then couldn't see through the trees.
Sure. You guys want to take a couple of questions from some people in the chat there? Invite them up on panel.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. To everybody in the chat, I put a post up. I'll put another one in there. If you'd like to join us on screen here and ask the Northern Scavenger a quick question, feel free to do so. Just make sure when you come on, you please shut off your YouTube volume and just go by the volume on StreamYard. Let's see. We do have somebody down here now. We have Darren from Ride Paddle Repeat. How you doing there, Darren?
You guys doing well? Thanks. How you doing, Dennis?
Good. Long time no see.
Yeah. What has it been since Saturday? I guess. Right?
Saturday. Yeah. I seen Alex at the show too, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I saw Alex for a bit. That was pretty cool.
Cool. You got a question for the boys?
Yeah, thanks. Lots of cool content in this one, and throughout your series, it's cool to see like your progressions of how you guys do different things, different activities to keep the team strong. So in this one, which I thought was neat, I'm trying to remember the inspiration for it, but for documenting the trip, you mentioned that, I think it was Noah who mentioned it, that every night you guys wrote a haiku to kind of remember the day. So do you guys still have those, and do you have one that maybe you want to share? And like, where was that inspiration from? I'm just curious.
I could know. Maybe you can talk to the inspiration, and I can see if I can find one.
Yeah. So we cannot take credit for this. We stole this from Frank Wolf. Frank Wolf does these on his trips, and our buddy Dave Green introduced us to this on the Labrador trip in 2019, and we thought it was a really fun way to be creative and think of a simple, but actually sometimes really hard couple lines to sum up the day. And we got into it too on the day. We're thinking about different lines, and it'd be great to hash them out with the group and then come up with it at the end of the day. It was fun. Recommend it.
Yeah.
And Alex, you're searching for one?
I'm searching. I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to find
we'll get back.
Not to put anybody on the spot for sure. I just thought it was a neat idea.
They're deep on our Facebook page.
I've got one. I mean, the very last one was kind of nice. It was.
Oh yeah, share that, Matt.
The river's last trick, fitting end to a wild ride. Farewell, Aguaniche, was our very last one.
Oh yeah.
Very nice.
Cool. I've got them here, and I've got a good one here. So this was on the day when we made it back to the river after being on the mountain for 2 days. So we said, when it rains, it hails. 2-day portage is finished. The Folsom Prison, which is what we had nicknamed the portage internally, because we were also playing Folsom Prison Blues by Johnny Cash. So on the Gitalele. So it all seemed very fitting.
Yeah, you picked up the ukulele now, eh? Or did you know how to play before?
Well, it's a Gitalele, so it's actually a guitar. So it still has 6 strings, but it's just the size of a ukulele. And actually, and Matt knew how to play as well, and Eric's a talented guitar player. So, it's been a fun instrument to have on the trips. And Noah still needs to work on his harmonica skills so that he can chime in with us. But Noah's got his own solo harmonica thing going on, which is also great to have on the trip.
Well,
you should talk to Kevin Callan about that. He'll give you some harmonica lessons.
Yeah, Noah, was that?
I'm a singer.
A what?
A singer. I sing songs.
Oh yeah,
and freestyles.
Yeah.
And
the
aerobic instructor out there too. So
funny.
Darren, you got anything else for the boys here?
No, I just thought it was cool. And actually, since you brought it up, I was actually curious about what that instrument was. I thought it was like a parlor-sized guitar, but it's cool that it's kind of like a combination of those two things. And you guys definitely have chops on it. Like, it was really cool to see you guys playing.
Thanks. Thank you. I think like part of its appeal is the fact that it's never in tune. It sounds
as long
like
as you're in tune with the wilderness, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it sounds like it's just been dangling off a bear barrel, smashing into trees along a two-day portage.
Do you regret having brought that after the portages that you had to carry it through?
Not at all. It'll be coming on future trips as well.
There you go.
Very cool.
You need to add more of that music into your videos, though. It's nice to have the little original riffs, and I noticed you closed a couple scenes out with it, right? So
I'm always worried about getting flagged with it, sometimes we're playing like popular songs and stuff, and it'd be like,
oh, the algorithm, yeah.
Not saying we're playing the song anywhere close to what it actually sounds like, but if somehow it got flagged, it'd be like how much work we put into these videos for that to get flagged in the last hour. Oh,
right. I don't know. I wouldn't know if you would get flagged for that, because like you see all the time on YouTube, like, you know, covers, people doing covers of stuff.
Yeah,
they all have a car radio playing a song and on the way to driving, and
well, there you would get flagged if it's the original tune, right?
Yeah,
but if
I don't even think like covers and things like that do get flagged. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Huh. That's crazy.
I think if you're trying to monetize, anyways.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Darren, thank you very much for joining and asking the boys a couple questions. Did you guys run into each other at the show by any chance on Saturday?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. Always great to have the YouTubers there, eh, Darren?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Just a closing comment. I just think it's really neat that you still integrate that creative side to yourselves, like with the, you know, physical side, like having the haikus and the music. I think that's a cool way to mesh, you know what I mean, with the wilderness. So really cool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks, Darren. Have a good one. Cheers. Well, we have somebody else in the basement here that you guys might be delighted to see, and he comes with his own introduction like this.
Hi, I'm Kevin Cowan, the Happy Camper.
Woo! Yes, I'm apostle number 14. Well, if you visited me instead, you would have been fine. It's a one sexy beast, I'm telling you. You know, I called you poopy pants. Sorry about that.
Did you really?
I will hold in my urine for you, Dennis.
You have to remind Kevin that this is a family show.
What about the chipmunks?
Awesome.
There we go. There's your harmonica lessons right there, Noah.
That's
How you doing, Kevin?
What an intro.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, again, once again, I was like working. I was like, oh, yeah, Dennis, your show's tonight. I got 3 questions, and it's all to do with Matt, because, you know, I'm kind of done talking to Alex and Noah, especially Alex. Like, right? Yeah. So, Matt, this is all about you.
I'll do my best.
Matt, was there any one moment when you watched the film, once they've done it all, that you're like, oh, guys, you didn't put that scene in? Why?
A little bit. I don't know.
Was there any one scene, though, where you're like, oh, come on, why? Come on.
I think there was one scene, and maybe it just wasn't covered well, or I don't know, maybe if we had a GoPro problem or something, but we had to kind of, each boat took a separate line down the river, and so Alex and Eric ended up on river right, Noah and I were on river left, and me and Noah's line just kind of ended, and there wasn't a great way to carry on, so we had to do a bit of a crossing, and it ended up being a bit of an intricate maneuver with, you know, ropes getting tossed to the other side of the river and those guys assisting us and us kind of holding the boat and doing a bit of a crossing, and maybe it wasn't covered well. I thought it was kind of a cool thing though. I don't know. Get those guys' thoughts on it.
Do you know what he's talking about? Or?
Yeah, I didn't press play until we're pretty much done that. So
okay, it wasn't covered well. So
yeah,
and also I remember watching that, and it just didn't. I think it would have been confusing to watch. I don't think it was the angles and stuff. It just didn't end up coming out clear enough what was actually going on versus looking like it was. It was probably a little confusing versus flowing with the story, I guess.
Yeah, I think more than anything, it's just us kicking ourselves for not having the camera out at certain times, like the thunder and lightning storm on the top of the mountain and a few moments like that.
There's a few things we missed for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was the video series is a great representation of what the trip was.
Well, was there a moment too where they filmed it and you're like, "Oh, guys, why?"
Noah likes to make me uncomfortable by taking out the camera and trying to get me to talk. So there's often moments like that.
So we didn't get your good side in it or something.
Well, I think one of the most positive sides of Matt was when he did his first aid kit overload. Like, wow, that was a wealth of information beyond belief. That was the first aid kit of beyond, like, measure, right?
Oh,
so,
thank you.
Yeah. So is that what you do on your own YouTube channel, or?
I did do a little video. I do a little bit of marketing stuff with Cabela's, so that was something I'd kind of put together for them.
Okay. Because really, that is a first aid kit. Like, so people can buy a first aid kit, but you did that and then went beyond that, right? So it just showed that you guys knew what you're doing when you're out there. So, well, except Noah. I mean,
I mentioned that earlier, man. That was one well-stocked kit.
It was. But Noah, like, really, the moment he went to Nova Scotia, he just changed a lot. I felt that personally. Actually, I'm just joking. I love your province. Nova Scotia, amazing. All right, so I got keep focused here. All right.
These questions written down even.
I did 3 of them.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I'm working tonight and I'm writing. Actually, it's really kind of weird writing with my hand now. Is it?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Anyway, was there a moment where all 3 of you were overshadowed by that sexy beast, Eric?
Constantly.
Oh, like he's a sexy beast. Even the pilot. The moment when he was getting off the plane, the pilot even said, "You're one sexy guy." He did. Go back and watch the video. He said that. So was there a moment where you're like, "Oh, it's all about Eric"? Yeah. Alex and Noah is probably doing all the editing work, and Matt's probably doing all the logistics, and Eric is just this. Oh.
He was definitely the eye candy.
Yeah.
There you go, ladies. What are your thoughts on that, right?
Dennis, just in the spirit of embarrassing Matt, I just sent you a great photo of him from the trip. It's on email.
Oh,
and
okay,
probably sparks another good story as well if you're able to pull that up on the screen.
I have no idea what's coming right now.
I just got the other pictures that you sent too. We'll put them up in a second, but yeah, let's pull. Okay, let's this.
I think I know what this is going to be.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
I don't know what to expect.
No, I'm worried myself.
Oh, it's not that bad, really, Matt. Should I put Matt full screen first?
Matt, it shows your chiseled jaw really nice.
Oh yeah,
gosh,
perfect.
And fire.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
moss
God.
bath, eh?
Little moss bath, yeah.
Well, no, Matt, I'm aroused. Yeah.
That's hot.
Well, tell us about this picture, Matt.
That was, oh my gosh, where was that? Second day, somewhere in the morning of that mountain portage, and just like hot, sweaty, disgusting work all day. And Alex and I had kind of put the gear down, and we were taking a quick break, and there was all this nice damp moss all around, and I just thought it would feel really nice to like cool down and clean off a little bit and kind of sponge down with some moss. And Alex figured it'd be good to pull out the camera.
That's not a bad idea. What you're doing there, right?
But isn't it the same moss that actually Noah said that's a rolling toilet paper everywhere?
Yeah, I got it from him.
Okay.
Exact same moss.
Yeah. You can wipe down any part of your body with it. Matt, you look majestical here, man.
I was in heaven. That was great.
It was like maybe one of the happiest moments on the trip.
Yeah, it's all about highs and lows, right? So
that's cool. Good stuff. Anybody want to see pictures of some young northern scavengers?
Can you pull up the one of us in the paddle boat? Because that one reminds me of the 2 old guys in TD commercials or something like that. Somehow the way that we're like leaning in and chatting.
What's the command here? F11, right? Full screen. There we go. And add the stream. There we go. Look at that. So you guys are what? Maybe 7 years old there?
Yeah, I'm horrible judge.
Old enough to paddle.
Yeah.
Did you ever portage that?
Yeah. This is what we used to portage before the Coleman.
It's not so great in whitewater though.
I don't even know.
Back paddle.
I don't even know if we would be able to lift that thing.
Yeah, let's see what's the next picture here. There we go.
That was in Sandbanks, Provincial Park.
Oh man, look at the pecs. Look at the pecs on him.
We upgraded to a canoe.
Oh, that was Algonquin.
With our buddy Graham.
That's cool. There we go. So who caught the fish though?
There's another story behind this. we were young and foolish, and we left the lines in overnight, which is a no when you're ice fishing. And I woke up first in the morning, and Noah wasn't up yet, and so I decided, you know what, I'm gonna wait for my buddy before we go check the hole. And then I went upstairs, and Noah sprinted straight outside and came running back inside, being like, "We've got a massive pickerel on the line. Get out here!" And I was like, "What the heck? I waited for you."
I didn't know you were waiting for me. That was my bad.
Yeah, we did. We talked about that after, but
That's cool. No, and that just goes to show that you guys been buddies for a heck of a long time, eh?
yeah, it's been a long one. A lot of good memories.
So
they were so good friends that actually Noah moved to another province.
Yes. And doesn't want to come back.
I'm just joking.
No, you're not. Okay, so let's get back into the trip here. Hang around for a while, Kevin.
No, I'm gone. I actually am working tonight. All right, I just had this through quick. Right, we're good. It's all about Matt. You guys mean nothing. Have a good night.
Hey, before you go, sorry I didn't get to say goodbye at the show.
No, I'm a very busy man.
I know, man. I come back in, you were gone, so that's okay.
I'm glad it didn't hang around. You got a cold. I don't. I'm good.
Yeah, no, I started catching the cold before the show, and it's only a cold. I checked for COVID, and I was okay.
All right,
I'm not a spreader.
I'm good too. No, that was a good show. Actually, well, Alex was there because he's the Ontario person still. Noah just is a hermit somewhere in some other province, and Alex does all the work and for media and managing and all that stuff. And then Matt, really, he's just the eye candy, and Eric more so. So I get how it all works during the Scavenger. When I first met them, they were a solid core, good friends, loved each other, and then they just separated and they call themselves Northern Scavenger. It's almost like the Beach Boys, because you don't really know who are the Beach Boys anymore. Like, really.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's like Van Halen.
That's the first time we've been compared to the Beach Boys. So
or Van Halen. Yeah.
Well, I was compared to Loverboy at the show, so because I was an opening act for some people, so I called myself Loverboy.
Nice.
And my students saw that today, and they're like, "Oh, that's pretty funny. Who's Loverboy?" I went, shut the hell up.
Awesome, Kevin. Thanks so much.
Have a good night, guys. You guys did an amazing job. Amazing. The whole episode, and also the 6-hour thing. Oh my God, you guys gotta talk about that. Like, I guess that's a YouTube thing. Like, you do the whole 8. No, it was more than 8. There was 9. No, there was 10 episodes, right? And then, let's put it all together and do a 6.5-hour clip. And I said, who would watch that? Well, I watched that. So.
Nice. Appreciate that.
And I'm old, and I didn't fall asleep during the whole 6.5 hours, so I'm good.
Oh wow!
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was a good journey, guys. You did a great job. And Eric, he's not here, so make fun of him the rest of the night. That's what I would do.
Yeah. Drag him under the bus, right?
Yeah, he can't defend himself. Just say like he really wasn't all that sexy. And in fact, the pilot really was. I don't know what he's talking about. So, all right.
All right.
Only editing.
Have a good night, guys. Awesome job. If you guys haven't seen this video footage, watch it. Northern Scavengers, amazing. And the ones they did before, well, maybe not the earlier ones, because maybe not. But,
yeah, all their stuff is good.
Well, that's when they both had hair. Gotta go.
See you, Kev.
On that note, see ya. Leave it to Kevin, hey, boys?
So fun.
Alrighty. So I guess we should get back on topic of this trip, right? So now you guys have finished this huge portage, and what happens after that? You guys are how many more days until you reach the Gulf of St. Lawrence?
3, I think. I want to say 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Yeah, I think it was 3.
Yeah. So you're on the Agonish for what? Total 7 days? Is that about right? Somewhere around there?
13. Day 7.
Like
well,
14,
no.
14,
Noah
really.
and my day 17 was our first day on the Agonish, and then we finished on day 30.
Okay.
So I guess 13 days.
Cool. That's okay. So now you guys are only a couple more days. Any other mishaps between what putting back into the river and reaching your final destination? It was a pretty smooth sailing.
One day was a pretty good slog with a lot of portaging around waterfalls and stuff. A couple big class 5 rapids we had to portage around.
Yeah, and I'd say also the last day when we thought we were out in the clear, we did our final speeches in the morning, thinking we just had a couple fun rapids to get around. It was not going to be any big deal or anything like that, and we had a 1 kilometer portage at the very end that took us 5 hours to complete.
5 hours, yeah.
Just one more kick in the butt before we left the Agwanish. Had one more surprise for us.
And when you finally arrived at Agwanish, now where logistically getting home from there, like, did you have vehicle parked there, Alex? Did you guys go to Agwanish and then fly to your destination?
Our plan was to actually if we had enough time, our plan was to paddle a bit along the coast to get from the town of Agwanish to Natashquan, because Natashquan is actually where the I guess the airport base was that we flew out from. So we ended up hitchhiking a ride to Natashquan to get our cars, and Matt and I both jumped in someone's car and they drove us out, and then we brought the vehicles back to basically pack up, and we actually hit the road that night, and it was like 7:00 at night, and we actually started driving home right away.
Wow. No, like that's no rest for the wicked, right?
No.
You're coming off the water and you're going to start driving overnight. What about the goodbyes? Because obviously you and Noah hadn't been together for a couple of years with COVID and stuff like that. You hadn't seen each other like face to face in quite a while. Was that kind of bittersweet having to leave your buddies behind type of deal? Or
yeah, it always is. It in the end you feel like it's such an accomplishment, but it was it's definitely hard to say goodbye. Luckily we did have an opportunity. We slept, was it Sept-Îles that we slept in?
Yeah, just outside, I think.
Just outside of Sept-Îles, and we ended up having a good spot to have breakfast in the morning together before Noah and Matt jumped on the ferry, and Eric and I continued on our way back to Toronto.
Wow. Yeah, Noah and Matt, you guys actually had to undergo a huge journey just to get in there, right? Ferry ride, train ride to get dropped off at your put in type of deal. What was that?
Yeah.
What was the time frame on something like that?
Pretty much a full day of travel to get to Sept-Îles, and then the train ride north the next day.
Yeah. Where does that train actually go to? Is it something like the Polar Bear Express that goes from Cochrane up to Moosonee and back? Is it a single rail line going in and out type of deal?
Yeah. So it runs from Sept-Îles up to Shefferville.
Okay.
And it's used by a lot of the communities up there. It's the main source. If you're up in one of those northern communities, it's the only source to get down to Sept-Îles.
Yeah.
And if you're a canoeist, it's one of the only ways to access Labrador and Quebec. And it's great. The Taucer rail line is well managed. It's relatively on time, and it's straightforward for people looking to travel on it. You don't necessarily have to stop at an actual stop. You can tell them what mile you want to stop off at, and they'll actually drop you off there. So you can plan some pretty unique and fun routes starting at the Taucer rail line.
Yeah, so it's similar to like the Bud train or the Polar Bear Express, right? But aren't those systems great? They make it so accessible to the places that you can't access otherwise, right?
Definitely. I'd also say that taking these different vehicles to get into the backcountry was something we used to have on our bucket list. Was just we have to take a train somewhere, we have to take a plane somewhere. It is cool the way you load a canoe up onto a train and then they drop you off and just dump all your stuff at the side and then you're on your own and you watch the train pull away. And same with the plane, like just strapping the canoe to the float, like the floats outside. It's part of the experience. It's really cool.
Yeah. I've done the train. I have never done a fly-in trip, so that's something that's on my bucket list as well. That's got to happen one day.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't know if it'll be to a destination like you guys are doing in all these adventures, but you know what? It's going to happen one day.
Yeah, we had an awesome trip in Wabakimi that was a great flying opportunity as well.
Yeah. Actually, I was doing a little bit of talking to Mr. Wabakimi there at the Outdoor Adventure Show beside Kid Products. They had the display there.
Yeah.
And you never know. That might happen this summer. Who knows?
Yeah. He's it was nice to definitely see Bruce. He used to have two great people working for him that have retired now, Bruce and Brenda. And I was disappointed not to see them because they were somehow almost like family to us, the way that they treated us up there. And it was always nice seeing them at the show. They'd always bring us around the back of their booth for a while and we'd chat and maybe share some cheese curds with with Bert.
that older gentleman that was there, that was the Bruce.
That is Bruce.
Okay. I didn't even put two and two together.
Yeah.
Well, let's see here. We got a question from way back. Nancy Wiener was asking, do the four of you plan on doing another trip together? This series is great to watch on the personalities working as a team. Yeah, you guys personified teammates out there. That's for sure. Any plans for future trips coming up, including the four of you that were in this adventure?
I'm sure there's going to be another trip in our future with the four of us.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah.
I'd be there.
Even more logistics to plan there now, right? Because Matt moved from a further distance from Noah, Alex, and where's Eric situated? Is he in Toronto area, GT area as well?
Yes, he is. He's not far from me in Etobicoke kind of area.
Cool. A lot of people probably don't know this from, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but Eric used to be one of the personalities from the podcast Under the Yoke, right?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, it was a good series. Too bad it's no longer carrying on right now, but all these outdoor podcasts, Paddling Adventures Radio, Under the Yoke was a really good one too. So always good times. Who was his partner on that show?
One of his buddies, Adrian.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I met them, I think, 2 years ago at the Outdoor Adventure Show. That was cool. It was cool.
Yeah, they had a good thing going. I think it like you said, it's a lot of work, and it was just
it's a lot of work.
It can burn you out quick.
Yeah, for sure. So with that last question that we had up there asking about if the four of you are doing any trips, what have you guys got directly planned for this summer? Anything just simple trips, or is it you got any big adventures planned at this point that you can share or not share? Noah?
Maybe a hint?
A teaser.
So, Alex and I are going to be doing another pretty big trip with two other guys this summer, and we have not come up with a plan of when we're going to announce it yet, but I guess stay tuned.
Cool. You can't throw Canoe Hound a tidbit here, right? I guess I got my tidbit. Okay.
It's in a new location.
Good. Cool.
Well,
I look forward to
July.
it. Sure.
In July.
Yeah.
We'll need
what have you got? Any ice out trips planned? Either any of you guys? The water's starting to open up now, right? So
I'm heading up to Algonquin this weekend.
Nice.
Dennis, it's been ice out for 6 weeks here in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, well, it's been ice out for longer than that for me down in southern Ontario, but northern Ontario, everything's starting to open up there now. So I think ice out in Algonquin was last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, last weekend, maybe the weekend before.
Yeah,
maybe not quite the weekend before, but sometime in the last 2 weeks, it just opened up.
Sure. And Matt, what do you got planned?
I'm going on a really big adventure at the end of August. I'm getting married, so
Oh boy,
that's my big adventure of the summer.
Well, that's a trip and a half.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. So I don't want to call an end to the show yet, but I want to find out, you guys, your camera work is getting really good. Like besides the drone shots always look cool. Like, what can you describe your camera setup that you would use like for a river paddle when you guys are going down whitewater? How are you capturing these things?
No, do you want to take it?
Alex,
Either one, it doesn't matter.
All right. A combination. So we have our Canon camera that is like our primary shooting camera, and usually whatever the first boat down a set of rapids is, sometimes we'll shoot from the top of a set of rapids and film the first boat going down from the back. When we get down to the bottom, we've got two cannons, so that person at the bottom will usually shoot back up the set of rapids. We have GoPros that we mount all over the place, whether it's on our head or on the side of the boat or at the back of the boat or whatever it is. That's kind of the camera setup.
Yeah, and what about coordinating all that video footage? Did pretty much all the stuff go to Noah and then off to Alex, or how are you sharing files back and forth? Because you said Alex did the second half and Noah did the first half, right? How are you sharing these files?
We ship memory cards back and forth.
Yeah,
and that seems for big projects like this, it just seems like the quickest, easiest way to share footage.
Before we shipped them, though, we made sure that we had downloaded everything off of them ourselves, and then ship the memory cards, and then download them all, and then ship them all back. There's some logistics in that as well.
Go ahead. No, that's crazy. So, like, is there no way to share files like that using the cloud, or is it just too big? Because I'd imagine you had gigabytes of info, right?
I think my hard drive has a terabyte worth of footage, maybe even more, from combined on our trip.
Cool. Well, that's nuts. That's a lot of footage. That's a lot of footage for sure. And are you shooting in 4K or 1080?
No, we're mainly shooting in 1080.
Yeah. Otherwise, oh my gosh, can you imagine if you're doing that in 4K?
Yeah.
So I think Dennis, you might have asked that question because John just asked what made you guys start shooting in 4K, or unless that was a coincidence. But so for other YouTubers out there, we recently learned that you can export videos in 4K on Premiere Pro, and it does something that when you export it in 4K, even though you shoot in 1080, YouTube thinks of it as a 4K footage, and because of that, it allows for higher resolution quality,
higher bit rate
on your YouTube uploads. So it's not technically 4K, but it's a higher quality than the 1080 processing that we did before this trip.
Right.
It's something new that we found just Googling what the best export settings were for YouTube videos, and was something new that we kind of came across and when we tried out on this series. The file sizes come out way bigger, and and it takes a lot longer to export.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and let us know if you guys notice the difference for that quality. If you guys notice the difference from 4K to 1080, like Alex said, I think we tested it starting on episode 2 of the series. So it was really just testing on the fly.
Huh. Yeah. You know what? There's actually everybody's coming in with camera questions now. Let's take a couple. What the heck? Canoe wants to know what does all your camera gear weigh?
I'm pretty sure I've weighed my Pelican case before, and I'm pretty sure it was 16 or 17 pounds. It's not light.
Yeah. And how many GoPro batteries are you bringing along on a trip?
Alex and I were talking about this today. So,
yeah.
So because Alex and I tried to bring our own stuff for this trip, just in case we didn't connect. In our Pelican case, for the start of the trip, we had 9 Canon batteries, 12 GoPro batteries, and 4 drone batteries, and 10 micro SD cards and 10 SD cards. All, I think most of them are 64 gigabyte.
Okay. Yeah, you got to be stocked up on that stuff for sure. Canoe, I just wanted to say, Canoe, I actually met him at the Outdoor Adventure Show too, so that's cool. When you guys had that mishap a couple days in on the trip there, you guys almost lost a power bank, didn't you, Noah?
Yeah, I almost flooded Alex's power bank, which didn't feel that good.
Yeah. And was it okay in the end?
Still turns on now, still charges stuff.
There you go. There you go. So, yeah, got flooded out. What happened there? You just didn't have the bag sealed up, or it was open?
We could probably use a better bag for it, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's a crappy way to figure that out, though.
Yeah,
but also, yeah. So it was when Matt and I flooded the boat. It was hanging up beside me, and I didn't roll it like the third roll to make it a little more waterproof. And yeah, I opened it up, and there's about a cup of water in there, which sucked for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, it turned back on. We've been lucky recently with flooding electronics and it working. A couple of weeks ago, I just crashed my drone into a lake, and it seems to be working too, which is great. So I guess if you just quickly take the battery out and cross your fingers, you might have the luck on your side.
Wow. Yeah. It wasn't deep enough water that you lost it, eh? It was okay.
I dove right in.
I guess so, right? What are you using for a drone?
Alex and I both use the DJI Mavic Air 1 because we find the size is important for us on these trips because you want it as small as possible. But they've stopped making the batteries and the drones. So eventually, when we do break these drones, we're gonna have to do an upgrade. So if anyone has any recommendations, we're very open.
There you go, people. Put your recommendations in the chat for the boys and help them out there. You know what? You'll always be able to find an aftermarket battery for this stuff, though, at least for the next 10 years.
Yeah, it was pretty hard to find because Noah tried to get a couple more, and it was harder than we thought to get them. And prices have gone up.
Wow. What about you, Matt? Do you specialize in any camera gear too? You use GoPros and or did you contribute any video equipment to this trip?
I mean, just a couple batteries. I've got the same camera as those guys, so I kicked in a couple of my batteries, I think, just for the gang. But no, I leave the filming up to those guys.
Yeah, he's being humble. He was nicknamed Matty B-roll on the trip.
Oh yeah. Sometimes I grab the camera and do a little. I mean, in the first 2 weeks, if you see footage of Noah, it's usually me filming it. But
it's funny because the guys I paddle with, they want nothing to do with the camera. They could even care less if the camera's on the trip, right? So it's always a tightrope I'm walking when I'm on these trips with these guys. You know, I turn on GoPro, start recording, and they just get the look right. It's like, okay, don't put the camera on them, guys. That's awesome. Well, you know what, guys? I really appreciate you joining us tonight here on a Tuesday night. I know what time is it there in Nova Scotia, Noah?
9:51.
9:50. Oh, so you're only an hour ahead of us, right? So, yeah. Anyways, yeah, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Really, really, really enjoyed the series as I do all your series. You guys living vicariously through you guys with these adventures. It's really nice to see that type of thing, and the fact that you take us along for the ride. Kudos to you both, or all of you. So it's a good thing. Matt, be careful with these guys.
Always am.
Dennis, thanks a lot for having us out again. Really appreciate it. And again, I think you just hit 100 episodes, right?
Yeah, that was this is the 103rd now. So
yeah. So just congrats on that. It's you've built an awesome little community here. So it's always nice to tune in and see what other people are up to. So thanks. Really appreciate you bringing us out on the show.
Well, you know what? I have fun getting to meet great guys like yourself. So, you know, like I say, I get to live vicariously through some of your adventures, and you know, maybe one day I'll get out there and try these things myself before I hit 100 years old. So, it's yeah. Anyways, guys, stick around in the green room. I'll be down there in a minute. There, we'll finish up the show, and we'll talk in a bit.
Sounds good.
Thanks,
much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks everyone for tuning in.
All right, everybody. Well, that was a great little interview. Northern Scavengers, man. If you haven't already checked out their channel, please do. All their information is in the description below. You can get to their YouTube channel, their Facebook, and their Instagram. You know what? Get on there and check out their adventures. And you know what? Go back and check out some of their past adventures too. Their Labrador trip, and you know, all the others. There's so many of them on there. These guys do a great job. Like I say, they're young, energetic, and they're getting it done out there. So that's a good thing. Just wanted to touch base. We will see you all next week on Tuesday evening, working on our topic for next for next week. And we've only got a couple more episodes left until we hit the end of season 3. And believe it or not, already got a few things lined up for season 4. So yes, we will be back for a season 4, probably starting somewhere or end of August into September sometime. We'll make sure we got everything there. And if you want to keep up to date with what's happening with Canoe Hounds Outdoor Adventure Show, all you need to do is follow us on Facebook at Canoe Hounds Outdoor Adventure Show. We put all the postings on there and occasionally on Instagram as well. So you can also follow us there. And yeah, that would be about that for this week. So I encourage you all to stay safe, stay healthy, get out there, enjoy the outdoors, and remember to keep the adventures alive. Have a great week, everybody. Cheers.